All right, welcome back to the reading of Rebirth. This is the memoir around the birth of my daughter, but it's about a lot more than birth. If you just stumbled upon this video, I am reading chapter 17 here. I've been reading in order through the book up to here. So if you just stumbled upon this, I recommend you go back to the beginning so that you can hear the story in order. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe so you get a notification when the next chapter drops. If you like the story or you know someone who might like the story, please like and share it. And I would love, really love to hear from you. If you're following along this story, any thoughts, insights, perspective, feedback that you have along the way, I really appreciate it as you are following along this journey with me to know what is moving through you. So again, I'm reading chapter 17, and it's entitled The Gates of Heaven Open. Something churned deep inside me, a restless gnawing swirl I couldn't name, like a storm trapped beneath my skins. The absence of connection, of anyone truly being with or seeing me, had worn me thin. Every careless comment landed like a slap, no matter how small, sticking to me, burrowing in like burrs, and I couldn't shake them off. Was I unraveling? What was happening to me? Why couldn't I just brush it off as everyone seemed to expect? Why did every word feel so weighted, pressing against old wounds I didn't even know I had? I'm sorry you didn't have the birth experience you wanted, Carla said, casually, as if it were a simple disappointment. It's not that I didn't have the birth experience I wanted, Carla. I'm traumatized by the lack of support. I had to beg Amy for a catheter. Tears welled in my eyes at the memory. I'm sorry you feel that way, she repeated, her expression cold and detached. Was she even listening? It's not a feeling, it's a fact. I choked on the words, then sobbed. I had to beg, Carla. Her face remained impassive, aloof, widening the distance between us. My pain couldn't reach her. My tears dried up, replaced by a rising tide of anger. I had no energy left to chase after understanding or sympathy, not from her. The birth had unfolded exactly as it needed to. I didn't resent it, nor would I change a thing. It was one of those wild, mystical experiences I'd forever look back on with pride and awe. What I longed for was closure, acknowledgement. I wanted to tend to the wound that had formed within me and the rupture left behind by unanswered cries for help. My care team had failed me and trampled on the sacred trust I'd placed in them. Even if they'd been powerless to act differently, even if they didn't know better, they could resolve it in hindsight. It would have taken just one word, one sentence to ease the burden. You shouldn't have had to beg. That's all. The recognition that what happened should not have happened, that a catheter was a standard procedure and using one would not have derailed the birth, that my perspective and intuition in that moment mattered, but they still wouldn't offer it. Even simple gestures of support were withheld. Instead of witnessing the transformation I was undergoing, they saw my spiritual awakening as a sign of instability and rebellion. You need to sleep, Carla said. That might explain why you're acting so strangely. It felt like yet another excuse not to hear me, another way to minimize my voice and shift the attention from what mattered. It's all starting to snowball, Mauro said, not unkindly, but with a tinge of panic in his voice. 10 days after Evelyn's birth, the world had transformed. The weave of the blanket beneath my fingers had felt impossibly intricate, each thread distinct. Sunlight fractured off the window pane, flaring into colors so vivid they overwhelmed me. Shadows fell with purpose, air moved with texture. Every surface, every sound resonated with a strange electric clarity, as if the world had dropped its veil, allowing me to see through the layers, not just the room, not just the moment, but something far deeper. Truth, naked and shimmering, pulsed all around me, humming in my bones like a song I'd always known, but only now could sense. His voice cut through the brightness like a stone skimming the surface. You're being extreme, he added, his words soft enough to sound like care, but landing like ash on an open flame. I snapped upright, the air tightening in my chest. My reaction is just as valid as anyone else's, I blurted, the words jagged and brittle. I'm the one who's not being heard. I just gave birth to a child. Tears rushed hot to my cheeks. I couldn't hold them back, but I didn't wipe them away either, letting them carve tracks down my face as I stared at him, daring him to look away first. My mind raced, as it always did, threading scraps of memory, belief, old wounds, and new ones until it spat out something, anything that might explain this moment. Maybe it wasn't perfect. Maybe I wasn't perfect, but it was the best I had, the best any of us has in any given moment. Could no one else see? Every word I spoke felt like I was being held under a microscope, dissected and judged, while the professionals with their training, clipboards, and protocols slipped past untouched, their reputations unbruised. Just me, exposed, scrutinized, and questioned, essentially because I questioned them. My heart beat against my chest, constrained and unable to fully express itself. I wasn't looking for payback. I wanted someone to look at me and see me, to say, you were right to be afraid. You were right to ask for help, and you are right to question now. I wanted to be heard and witnessed, not studied or managed, but no one offered that. Suing them would get their attention, but it wouldn't help them understand. It felt like fire licking the edges of a fragile bridge, already cracking under Mauro's silence. He didn't see it. He couldn't. We were no longer standing together, but on opposite shores, watching different versions of the same storm. And yet, in that turmoil, I felt expanded, more alive than I had ever been. The world had changed. I had changed. And Mauro continued to question everything I said while extending the benefit of the doubt to everyone else. I didn't blame the midwives. They had played their roles exactly as they were meant to, aligned with God's plan, just as Judas played his role. Jesus knew Judas would betray him, and yet he chose him anyway. The betrayal was the path to the crucifixion, necessary for salvation. There was no other way. Adding lawyers to the story would only breed more division, and isn't that the last thing the world needs? I reached for my Bible on the lower shelf of the nightstand and opened it. In the beginning, sorry, I keep pressing keys. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. For 6 days, God created and divided. Then on the seventh day, God rested and called it good. We took up the torch and just kept on dividing, never stopping to rest. We never stopped long enough to realize we weren't creating anything good. Maybe it's time we stop dividing now. Maybe my dad could help me make sense of it. I called him, seeking someone to understand and maybe connect with a believer too. He dominated the call, ranting about midwifery, France, and Canada's division into 3 countries. He didn't hear me, nor did he want to. A lump rose in my throat when he hung up. Why did we love division so much? We carve ourselves apart, piece by piece, until we're utterly alone, and then we wonder why. All any of us ever really want is connection, to be seen, heard, and accepted. I felt a growing sense of our interconnectedness, that the people we fight are reflections of ourselves. The counterintuitiveness of division keeps us from what we are trying to create. And you know what else is counterintuitive? Breastfeeding. My nipples were raw. Layers of skin were gone, leaving raw flesh throbbing with pain. I had started biting down on a pen just to latch her. The pain escalated quickly. A 2, then a 6, then an 8, a 10, 12, 20, maybe more. This pain scale never made sense to me. What is 10 if it is not the worst pain you've ever felt? And what if you experience worse? I picked up the phone and called Carla. Can you help me? I need help with breastfeeding. The damage was becoming too much. You need to jam the baby's open mouth right into your breast quickly and firmly, Carla said. That sounds extreme. The breast is soft. It won't hurt the baby. I tried it. Evelyn's eyes widened as her face mashed into my breast. She didn't latch. Instead, She stiffened, brows furrowed, eyes darting. Then she exhaled, reached her hands forward, and pushed herself back. She wiggled side to side back into her usual position and latched. Pain flared again, like a raging fire. It didn't work, I told Carla. Unlatch her. That sounds painful. Slide your finger in her mouth to break the suction first. I tried, and it worked. Evelyn lost hold. No pain. Now latch her again, Carla said. Same scenario. I sighed. What do I do now? Keep unlatching her until she learns. After 4 or 5 attempts, Evelyn latched deeply and properly. She didn't wiggle or resist. The pain faded, a massive win. I could do this. I had what it took to mother, nurture, comfort, and nurse my baby. Within days, my nipples healed, and I continued to eat bowls of oatmeal to keep the milk flowing. Once, I snuck a half beer and lemonade as a little treat. I'd read that beer helped with milk production, though alcohol wasn't ideal. They also said crying helped bring in milk. I wasn't sure if they meant mine or the baby's, but we covered both. A few days into this new rhythm, my breasts were swollen and heavy. I looked like a life-size Buddha statue, which gave me a new appreciation for the ancient fertility symbol. Then something shifted. It was as if all my life experiences, the books, movies, music, family, heartache, joy, all the different perspectives I'd ever encountered aligned. Ideas danced like stars in my mind, the ones I'd rejected, the ones I'd secretly pondered, the truths that resonated deeply even when disguised as fiction. All of the pieces I once thought were random and scattered suddenly formed a whole. Like a burst of colliding stars, everything came into focus. It all made sense. Out of the chaos emerged a clear, intelligent design, a pattern of meaning so vast that no human mind could truly grasp, nor could words really fully capture. My soul felt open and connected to creation. I no longer needed to hide. Mostly it felt like a divine mistake, as though the gates of heaven had accidentally flung open and truth came pouring in, washing over me. Now you see as though through a veil, a soft whisper spoke in my mind, but then you will see clearly. Symbols lit up everything, woven into the fabric of life like breadcrumbs guiding me home. I felt truly awake for the first time in my life. And that is the reading of chapter 17 of my memoir, Rebirth. If you like this story or you know someone who might, please like and share it so that it reaches the people who are meant to hear it. And again, as you follow along, I would so love for you to leave comments so that I know where you are and so that I know any thoughts or insights or feedback that you might have as you are following along. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I look forward